Why hello there, Alpha Warriors and Zeta Forces alike. Shams Nelson here from Pen and Blade, and in this video, this map Monday brought to you on a Tuesday. Once again, will this be an ongoing tradition? Knowing me, probably. We will be having a fun time creating a map based on random letters generated. I'll tell you how that's going to work in a second. But I encourage you to follow along. You can just search random letter generator. I found one that has a cool little spinning thingy at this pickerwheel.com, but I'm neither sponsored by nor endorse pickerwheel.com. You may choose any random letter generator that you so desire. Okay, cool. Let's get started. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to first choose a geographic feature for a map. So we'll start with mountains. Let's just do this as I explained. Then I'm going to spin the wheel. Post-production Shums here. I didn't realize how annoyingly loud the wheel was, but basically what I was going to say is that we are going to draw things in the shape of the letter we come up with. Uppercase, then let's just make that simple. So we've got the Z. All right, so we're going to have some Z-shaped mountains. So I'll actually start with kind of like a pencil sketch thing, and I'll just put it in roughly. Let's just do that. Okay, I'll keep my letters on a lower layer, and I'll make a new layer on top, and then I'll use this, I like these ink bleed. It gives a little bit of texture. Cool. And then as we do so, as we always do here on Pen and Blade, we'll do some random world building. So the first thing that comes to mind already, kind of having the mountains be in a Z shape, is that there are 2 points of interest. And I think I might make a future map-related video on points of interest. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested, if that's a point of interest for you. But the other thing is that, before I forget, I did a sort of poll in the community section about what kind of map related videos you guys would like to see, and the one that got the most votes is me actually kind of looking at maps that you guys submit and then doing some of my own world building on top of the concepts that are there. So if that's something that intrigues you, if you'd like to submit your map for that kind of an event, then let me know in the comments, or email it to me at shams@penandblade.com, shams at penandblade.com, and I will start getting started with that. And I wish I remembered the name of the individual who mentioned that, so I'll put it up on the screen now, hopefully, or else I'll leave it in the comments. But cool, yeah, thanks for that. Sounds like a really fun suggestion, and I'm excited to do that. Also, you can join our Discord for that kind of thing. To submit the maps and to communicate with me further upon the topic. So the first thing that I'm noticing, going back to points of interest, is these two spots are really intriguing because they're well protected, and there's kind of like a natural leading to that area. So I could see a sort of like Helm's Deep somewhere in here. So actually, let's go ahead and put a castle of some sort in here, a fortress, let's say. And this could be a dwarven fortress potentially, but it would be cool to actually randomly generate the race and even class that is most prominent here. So maybe I'll do that. But for now, you know what? Let's just keep this simple and stick with our main plan for what we're doing today. All right, that's not my favorite map marker. I'm actually keep it a little simpler. Maybe I'll just do it like that. All right. So we've got a little fortress there. Let's spin the wheel, and this time we are doing it for a river. So this means that there are going to be some tributaries. That meeting has been postponed. Don't worry, you guys. So a K shape would mean that there's going to be, and we don't want the river to split again. So I'm wondering how to handle this. Oh, the bottom of the K could be a delta, something like that. So it's kind of like this K, right? So let's do that, and then seeing as how there's a part of the river coming over here, maybe I'll end up putting some mountains there, or a lake. We'll put a lake there. That's where some, maybe that's the kind of like a low ground area. Okay, cool. So let's go back to our top layer and just kind of randomly give it some curves there. Cool. I think the next thing to do is to do the shoreline here at the bottom. I'd love to see what you guys end up coming up with. If you post it on Instagram, tag me at pen_n_blade, because I'm not marketing savvy enough to just make it pen and blade. Maybe I'll change that, we'll see. But now I have it everywhere as pen_n_blade, so. Okay, so now we're doing a lake, and we are receiving the most boring letter we possibly could for the lake. This could be like Lake Round Lake. Lake Round Waters. Let's name it right that. Lake Round Water. And imagine right after this we'll go into the RRG and do just a little bit of world building. So what are we missing so far? We've got a lake, we've got the shoreline. Let's do maybe another set of mountains? No, forests. Forest is what we're doing now. Forest. So I'm thinking over here, we can have a forest that's kind of that shape. So let's go like that. Now, like, let's see, what other points of interest would we have? Right here, I think is an interesting one. And you know what? I'm just going to do the markers. I'm going to take this out. I'm just going to do dot markers for now, because I think that works better for the scale of this map. So we've got our Z-shaped forest. One thing that could be interesting is like this is a choke point for forest creatures, so there could be like one faction in the top and one faction in the bottom. The north and the south forest could be divided. Maybe there are two clans of like a certain fantasy race, like some kobolds, forest kobolds, or lizard folk that each want to control the forest's resources. And you know, this is kind of like the dangerous area right there in the middle. What else have we got? Forests, lake, we got water, mountains. What are we missing? Some hills. We could have a hills, we could have a desert. We could have, I mean, plains, desert. All right, let's do some hills and another river, and then we can call that a day. What if the hills are over here and the V shape is actually, you know, like Lake Roundwater is at the bottom of that V shape? And we can actually have like basically like we won't draw these because there'll be lots of tiny little creeks and rivers, but they all flow in from the north there, from the hills. So how about that? And then we'll actually keep it so that this is the region that we're focusing on. So can I just bring it over more centered there? Okay, this can be like the, we'll do one more river, but this is like another territory on the left. Cool. Let's get rid of that bottom layer. A T-shaped river. The rivers are the most interesting, I think, as far as trying to figure out like how to make the letter shape work but still be reasonable within like the way that rivers run. So a T-shaped river will have like two tributaries, like this and like that, and then it could just be like that. Is that a good T-shaped river? Yeah, I think that's just fine. So we've got it running along the mountains like bottom. And then it meets and runs down. So yeah, it's okay. I mean, this lake. So there's actually someone who asked me a year ago for a video on how to do lakes. So I will actually make a short video on that. But the main thing is, if everything else is in this isometric perspective, so nothing, it's like you can see that it's not straight top down. We're at a bit of an angle looking at this map. Then instead of a circle, like you'll have, you know, things looking at that angle, while at top it might have been like that. So I'm gonna stretch this O out to make it so in real life it would be perfectly round, but here, you know, it looks a little more like that. So let's go to our RRG at buildcom.dev/RRG, and let's start generating some random stuff. So we have 2 main cities. So let's see, who is the main race, and let's say the class is the leader, and we'll give it a quality and a personality trait. So these are humans led by a paladin who are sophisticated and gloomy, living in the mountains there. And this place shall be called, the Windfire Fortress. That's great. So the wind is so powerful here. Apparently I've decided to go lower cases. Usually I do all upper cases, but that's okay. The wind is so powerful, so it gets channeled in like that, and it just burns your skin. Like, you can't go outside in short sleeves, or else the skin will just be blown right off of yours. Maybe like all channels through here. So this is like a knife of wind. And so we've got these gloomy, sophisticated, you know, they potentially they have quite there's some good mineral resources here, and they're quite excellent miners and such. And so they create sophisticated, you know, the sophisticated craftsmen, and they take things pretty seriously. But it's a gloomy place to live because you can't go outside without even like wearing goggles. Like, every bit of your skin has to be covered. You've got like you know, these walkways that are made of metal, like stuck in the mountain, and you have to like chain yourself onto it and hold on because if a strong gust of wind comes, it could blow you right off the mountain. So it's a very like unhappy place to live in, very serious like situation. And also it doesn't get much sunlight, so another reason why they're gloomy, because they're surrounded by mountains, so it rarely gets much direct sunlight. So yeah, Windfire Fortress is mostly there for these mineral resources, which they transport to a much happier city over yonder. And this place is beautiful, with just waterfalls on either side, and it's like an idyllic place to live. And it is comprised mostly, let's say Windfire is led by this paladin, because he is, you know, very kind of sturdy in his demeanor, and his faith in his mission and his quest keeps him like as a strong leader and not like falling to despair. Because in these forests, we'll see there's some kind of creature that threatens the lands to the west. Okay, so there'll be like little towns, you know, strewn about here. We won't give them names right now, but that's kind of like the countryside up here too. And they're constantly under attack by, let's find out who that is now actually, by the monster. By rats, by dire rats. And these are highly intelligent dire rats that can swim right across the river. And they're extremely like resistant to death, basically. So they need these powerful weapons mined from the mithril-like metal, some very powerful, strong metal that are crafted in Windfire Fortress. That's sharp enough to cut through the dire rat hides. And then there are 2 factions of dire rats, as we've talked about. Or maybe the dire rats could be, okay, potentially the dire rats are like close to sentience, right? They're very smart. And I'm thinking in the north there could be, let's see what happens if we come up, beasts. Okay, I was gonna say I feel like kobolds, because kobolds would be wanting to like make the dire rats their steeds that they can ride into battle. So there's like a negotiation happening though, where the kobolds want to either conquer the dire rats, but now that the dire rats have become kind of smart enough to start communicating with their druids who can speak with animals, you know, can cast speak with animals. So kobold druids are negotiating with dire rats to work out a treaty where it'll be mutual beneficial. And if they join forces, then the lands of, let's give these lands a name. Let's randomly generate a name for these fellas. the lands of Emerald Rope. So this will be the Emerald Rope region. I mean, are all but doomed. I don't know how else to put it. My calligraphy is not on point today. Let's see if we can. Emerald Rope. And I feel like there could be a legend. The legend of Emerald Rope is that, like, the great, emperor of Emerald Rope, who resides in, and we'll just generate the place name for this right now, Flower Den. So it's this beautiful matriarch who descended from, it says she is descended from the heavens on an emerald robe. So she wears these like green emerald robes. Let me write down Flower Den over here. It's pretty cool. So I'm just imagining these waterfalls and flowers everywhere. And it's kind of almost like the complete opposite of Wildfire, which is interesting because the people of Wildfire might be somewhat resentful of the citizens of Flower Den, so there could be a bit of a rebellion or something brewing there. I'm not sure how that would work, but I could imagine that would be an interesting point of tension and could lead to some interesting adventures of Flower Den. And yeah, so I think we've got a cool general story happening here. Do we want to add anything else? Maybe there can be some monsters in the mountains to give Wildfire even more trouble and strife. Hydra, of course. This is the breeding ground for hydras. The great Z Mountain is where these hydras dwell. And so the paladin, has a force. He's the main paladin, but perhaps there's like an order, like a crusader order, and their job is to go and hunt any hydra that are near the Wildfire region before the hydras come to wreak havoc upon the townsfolk. So I think we'll leave it at that. Let me know what kind of ideas this sparked for you. I'd love to see whatever maps you come up with, so feel free to send them through in any of the avenues I mentioned earlier in the video. And that's it for now. Peace, God bless, and stay fantastic, everyone.